Hi, you're watching Hindustan Times. I'm Aditi Prasad, and with me, as usual, is the editor-in-chief of Hindustan Times, Sukumar Ranganathan. On the agenda today are the targeted killing of civilians in the valley. Five civilians killed over a span of 3 days. That's the statistic that we have, and the another statistic, Sukumar, that we have is that the number of civilians killed in the valley in this year alone have exceeded the number of security personnel killed, which actually reverses a trend of the last 6 years.
See, what we are seeing now is clearly a very singular agenda that's playing out in the valley. And I think we need a little bit of context. The last time something similar to this happened in the valley was actually in the 1990s. Um, some people might think I'm overstating the case, but a lot of people our reporters have spoken to, a lot and a lot of experts that our people have spoken to, and people on the ground whom they've spoken to in the valley, tell them that many of the minorities are frightened. Um, you are not seeing an exodus of the sort that you saw then, but there is a clear fear. And which are these minorities that are being targeted? There's clearly an agenda to target the Kashmiri Pandits. There's clearly an agenda to target the Sikhs. There's clearly an agenda to target the Dogras, who are the people who are traditionally from Jammu, but some of them have moved. One of the teachers who was killed, not the principal was a Sikh lady, but one of the teachers killed was a Dogra gentleman. And of course, two Muslim locals were killed, including one who was the head of a taxi union. And rumors say that he might have been an informer or he was killed on suspicion of being an informer. There was a migrant laborer from Bihar who was killed. So there's clearly a targeting that is happening. And why do I say targeting? I say it with utmost responsibility because we are told that there was a profiling of the two people that was killed yesterday. What is achieved by spreading fear, right? And whose agenda is it? And how should the state react? I think those are the questions that need to be asked at this time.
Right. But do you feel that the Pakistan and Pak sponsored terror has been emboldened by the rise of the Taliban in Afghanistan, and is there any linkage to these targeted killings in the valley right now?
There's definitely a linkage. I think, see, you have to understand that Pakistan, especially the part of Pakistan, the part of the Pakistani establishment that supports terror activities in the valley, which is the ISI, is clearly on a high now, because in many ways they see themselves as the people behind the regime change which has happened in Afghanistan. So they're clearly on a high. There are jihadist forces which are on the ascendancy in Afghanistan again, and it is not to be unexpected. It's not unexpected that their attention also moves to Kashmir and they try to do something here. So that is definitely happening. There's also the fact that they have not really been able to make any inroads diplomatically. They've not been able to make any inroads on multilateral fora. They've been repeatedly censured for harboring terror. So there is a lot of frustration there. There are sections in Pakistan that feel that the country's political and diplomatic efforts to leverage the abrogation of Article 370 in India hasn't really borne fruit, that these measures were ineffective. And so clearly there is that frustration that is there. And you're beginning to see that in what is happening here, because targeting civilians, because it's one thing for civilians to be collateral damage, but it is another thing for civilians to be targeted, and especially almost picking out the minorities and targeting them is a worrying trend. But it can be explained by the fact that it's a result of one, this entity which is sponsoring terror groups in the valley, emanating from across the border from Pakistan, now feels emboldened enough after having had a triumph in Afghanistan, and at the same time being frustrated at not being able to achieve their ends in this country, slowly but surely trying to do something.
And plus, there's also the additional fact when you say that there were thousands of Lashkar-e-Taiba militants fighting on the ground with the Taliban fighters when they were trying to storm into Kabul and take over the rest of Afghanistan. And now it's time that they're expecting a payback in Kashmir, which is what security experts
but to be
had
sure,
been expecting.
correct. I'm not sure that we can say with any level of confidence that infiltration has gone up, because right now, most of the reports that we are getting, most of the people we are speaking to, including in the security agencies, are telling us that the people who are actually pulling the trigger are all locals.
Yes, and you see the heightened drone activity in recent times, and there's a possibility that they've dropped the guns and the pistols.
Exactly, which is another theory that is doing the rounds, which is that one part is not theory, which is that all these killings are using small arms,
Right.
which are easy to carry, easy to hide.
Right.
You can walk around and no one will really know that you're carrying a small arm. And the fact that these can be easily dropped using drones, and drone activity has gone up. So there are theories that caches of small arms have been dropped and are being used to target civilians.
Do you? I mean, what you've said actually ties into what a lot of people are also saying, that this is a clear bid by our neighbors and their sponsored militants to target the Naya Kashmir image, which this government has tried to, because right now tourists are thronging the valley. There are people who are there. There is this whole thing about return of Kashmiri Pandits in the valley. And so with this, do you think that image of Naya Kashmir, uh, so far, what has happened? Has it been dented? And what the government needs to do going forward to stem this in its bud before it becomes a 1990s like situation?
It's definitely been dented, although I'm told that, the last time I checked, a day ago, there was still significant tourist activity in Jammu and Kashmir, still not died down. Still around 4,000 to 6,000 people who are landing there every day in flights. Might have changed over the last 2 days, given that I know
Right.
some people who had to cancel their trip there because they're worried that they'll just land in the middle of a situation that is rapidly evolving and seems to be a little bit out of control. So the first thing that the government needs to do is to get things under control again through whatever measure. The image of Naya Kashmir, you must understand that while it's in the government's interest to portray this image of everyone being happy and things really being, development happening at a very fast pace, is that it's not 100%, right? It's happening, yes, but there are lots of places where it is
Absolutely.
not happening. And so I think what the government really needs to do is to make an outreach, and this is a political outreach. I think the important thing is to actually revive political activity in the state. You need to, in the Union Territory, perhaps make it a state again. Because that is one of the things that the government said, that this is temporary. Maybe we will have elections and then we can look at giving back statehood, because you need to make the people of that state feel that there are regional forces that are in charge there. Sure, they're part of India. There's no questioning that. But I think having regional political players in charge will make a difference. And I think the wrong thing to do now would be to step back on the electoral process that had started last year with the local elections in some ways.
Thanks so much, Sukumar, for shedding light on this issue.